everyone. So today I'm going to discuss about the topic writing a flash fiction, microfiction, and six-word fiction. But before that, let me first introduce to you our objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the students are expected to first define flash fiction, microfiction, and six-word fiction. Second is appreciate the creativity and artistry involved in crafting compelling flash fiction, microfiction, and six flash fiction. Third is analyze the example of the flash fiction, microfiction, and six-word flash fiction. So what is flash fiction? So flash fiction is a genre of fiction. It is defined as a very short story. It is just a type of prose narrative that takes the form of a very brief, self-contained stories. So flash fiction has a what do you call this? Has a word count ranges from 5 words to 1,000 words on an average top of end of the genre setting at 1,500. So flash fiction story is sometimes called a short or non-fiction, a nanofiction. It is when we say nanofiction, it is one that has a complete plot under 1,500 words. So some of flash fiction pieces consist of a few as 5 or 6 words, okay? So, but no matter how short flash fiction stories, it is still contain the main element of a plot, which is there is a beginning, a middle, and end. So the story must feel finished by the end in order to be true flash fiction. Now let's proceed to the origin of flash fiction. So flash fiction dates back to the time of fables and parables. So the form was popularized in the year of 19th century by the writers like Walt Whitman, Kate Chopin, and Ambrose Bierce. So now let's proceed on how to write a flash fiction in 6 steps. So number 1, use strong imagery. Make every single word count. So it means that choose a word that creates vivid mental pictures of your reader to help them to see or hear or even feel of what you're describing. So every word should have a purpose, making the writing more powerful and impactful. For example, instead of saying the sky was beautiful, if we use strong imagery, it will become the sky glowed with soft pink and orange hues like a watercolor painting at sunset. So this way you're helping the readers visualize the beauty of the sky more vividly. So every word and second sentence serve as a purpose to enhance the image. Second is stick to one moment. So focus on one particular moment in time. So, meaning to say, in writing a flash fiction, we must focus in a single specific point in time rather than jumping between different events or moments. So, by narrowing the focus, you allow the reader to fully experience and understand a particular moment in detail. So, I have also an example here. So, I had a busy morning with a lot of things to do. So, if we use focus on one moment, as I lifted the warm mug to my lips, the rich aroma of coffee filled the air, and the first sip spread warmth through my body, easing the tension of the morning. So by concentrating on one moment, you immerse the reader in that specific experience, making it more vivid and engaging. Now let's proceed to number 3, which is don't spread your story too thin. So if you find yourself needing more than 2 characters or 2 scenes, your story may be better suited to the short story format. Meaning to say, so when writing short like a scene or a flash fiction piece, you should avoid including too many characters scene or plot element. So if you try to include too much, the story may become scattered, so it losing the focus and the depth. The fourth one is try to first person point of view. Try to use the first point of view. So this will create an instant connection to the reader and allow you to express more in fewer words. So it means that it creates an instant connection to the reader and allow you to express more in a fewer words because you're writing from the narrator's uh, perspective. You can share their emotions, observations, and reactions without needing to explain them in a distance. So the reader are inside the narrator's head. So the storytelling can be more straightforward and emotional. Now let's proceed to number 5, which is surprise your reader. Make sure to end your story on a different emotional note than the one you started on it. So it means that by your story, the reader should feel differently than they did at the beginning. So this can make the story more engaging and memorable. You might start with one emotion like happiness and end with a different one, which is like sadness or shock. Number 6 is make good use of your title. So when you have so few words to work with, your title can pack a punch. So when you're writing something short story like a flash fiction, the title is important because it can add extra meaning. So since you don't have many words to tell your story, the title can give the reader a hint about the theme, the mood, or the twist in the story. For example, if your story is about someone who feels trapped in the life a little, or meaning to say the title is The Cage, so your readers can instantly give the reader an idea of what the story is about, and it adds more depth with without taking up space in the actual story. Now I have here an example of flash fiction entitled Everyone Cried by Lydia Davis. So Lydia Davis was born in July 15, 1947. She is an American short story writer, a novelist, essayist, and translator from French and other languages who often writes short one or to 2 pages long short story. So the Everyone Cried short story has a 468 long, uses the second person point of view to create an empathy and draw readers into the shared experience of sadness and frustration that all individuals face at some point of lives. Now let's proceed to microfiction. So microfiction, it is also known as flash fiction or short story. It has a rich and varied history. So microfiction is a is a story told in 300 or fewer words. So the origin of microfiction can be traced back to the ancient storytelling tradition and short literary forms. So the term microfiction itself gained popularity in the 20th century as the genre grew alongside literary magazines, online platforms that celebrated extremely short narratives. Now let's talk about to on how to write a microfiction. So the first one is choose a primary emotions. So when reading a fiction piece, readers want emotion. They want to feel something. So when you read a good short story, you should feel something. So the goal of the authors is to evoke an emotional response in the reader. So this means the story should focus on making you feel a specific strong emotion like the joy, sadness, fear, anger, or surprise. So these dominant feelings helps you connect with the characters and the plot, making the story more memorable and impactful. Second is define the conflict. So your story will not have subplots. You must be direct and concise. So after choosing the key emotion, elaborate the conflict around it. So make it simple and focused. So narrow down your idea as much as possible. Third is choose your characters. So the ideal is to choose up to two characters. More than more than that will call for an extensive explanation which you can afford. So in choosing a character, it must be attractive, like the physical characteristic as a peculiarity in the voice and has a strong or enigmatic attitude. Okay, so next one is select your scenes. So at this point, you have the key emotion, the conflict, and the characters. So meaning to say, the scene is where you will combine all. So if you have more than one scene, select one as a primary and offer the reader a detail about it. So number 5 is choose only one point of view. So microfiction uses a single point of view. So there's not enough word counting to swap the point of view, losing the coherence of the story. Okay, the next one is six-word flash fiction. So a six-word flash fiction, it is an entire story told in 6 words. It is a short narrative that can have all of the emotional themes of longer story, from funny to dramatic, sad to scary, and it can be poetic or straightforward. Now let's talk about the history of six-word flash fiction. So according to the legend, it is believed that it is created by the renowned American novelist Ernest Hemingway on the year of July 21, 1899 to July 2, 1961, when he waged a bet among some friends that he could write a novel in just 6 words. Now let's talk about the step-by-step guide to writing effective six-word plus fiction. So the first one is understand the format. So the story must be exactly 6 words. So meaning to say you need to write a complete story using only 6 words, no more and no less, because it is a specific writing challenge where the goal is to create a meaningful or impactful story within a strict word limit of 6 words. So the second one is brainstorm ideas. So think about a central idea, moment, or emotion you want to express. Means that before you start to write, you should first generate or explore different thoughts or concepts, focusing on the key idea, on a specific event, or a strong feeling you want to convey in your story. Third is craft the narrative. So be direct. So use direct and evocative language. So every word should contribute to the overall impact. So when writing your story, especially within a limited word count like 6 words, you need to choose words carefully. So each word should be meaningful and help to convey the message or emotion you're aiming for. So being direct means avoiding unnecessary details. Four is use strong imagery. So we use visuals and feelings to employ the vivid imagery or emotional language to evoke a response. Five is edit ruthlessly. So refine your words. So make sure that each word is necessary and contribute to the overall narrative, or any redundancy or unnecessary detail. So means that after writing your story, you need to carefully review and it by cutting out any extra or repetitive words. So the goal on your writing is to make sure that each word has a clear purpose and strengthen the story. So if a word doesn't add to the meaning, emotion, or imagery, it should be removed. So this process helps make the story more concise, impactful, and powerful, especially when working within a tight word limit, within just a 6 word flash fiction. So I have here an example of 6 word plus fiction entitled For Sale Baby Shoes Never Worn by Ernest Hemingway. So this 6 word short story conveys a powerful emotional charge narrative in just a few words. So the story behind it is that Hemingway is supposedly created it as it part of a bit with friends where they challenge him to write a complete short story in just 6 words. So he came up with this brief but poignant sentence, which suggests a heartbreaking situation of a couple that have lost a baby. So leaving the baby shoes they had bought and used. So though it is just 6 words, it captures the themes of loss and grief and unfulfilled expectation. So the reader is left to imagine the circumstances surrounding the unsold baby shoes, which adds to its emotional impact. In conclusion, as we wrap up into writing a flash fiction, microfiction, and 6 word plus fiction, we've discovered how these forms pack a punch with just a few words. In flash fiction, it gives us a complete narrative in a compact space. In microfiction, it narrows down even further to focus on a single moment or insights. And 6 word plus fiction stories demand a full story in just 6 words. So these genres aren't just about being brief. So they're about making every word count and crafting stories that resonate. So it is important in creating your own stories. You need to embrace it. Use your own words thoughtfully. So let your creativity shine and remember that even the shortest story can leave a lasting impact into our life. And that's all for my report. Thank you.